Well, it appears all roads lead to secret wars for the MCU. And who's coming, who's going, and who's never going to show up at all? Well, according to rumors, and that's all there is at the moment, if they even get there, considering all the troubles with Disney and all that. But anyway, if things stay on schedule, more or less, and if they can keep Kang going, may have to recast that. You just don't know. But anyway, of course, you've got some movies on the way. There's Thunderbolts coming up. And there's been a rumor that the Sentry will play a part in it, and that Stephen Yeun, I believe, from Walking Dead, is going to be cast as the Sentry. Of course, this will be a race swap. I was assuming that's all it would be, but apparently Marvel Comics is retconning or redoing the Sentry, where just a whole bunch of people can be the Sentry, which is kind of odd. But do they all lose control of their dark side, their id, and it becomes an entity unto itself and calls itself the Void? I guess that's the nature and the price you pay for that awesome power, which ultimately was revealed to be that the Sentry was actually like the Beyonder. He was all powerful, but he was, had mental problems, and so couldn't really seal the deal. Yeah, whatever. But anyway, I don't know if they'll call him Bob Reynolds. Yeah. But anyway, so, the Thunderbolts, Winter Soldier would be in there. The new Black Widow, Black Widow's sister, will be a part of it. David Harbour will return as Red Guardian in it. I think the Ghost Girl from the Ant-Man movie will be in it. People like, oh yeah, Taskmaster. I just would rather they just forget about it. That's really would have been a great character, but yeah, they had to shoehorn in another statement. And anyway, that's the deal. So the latest rumor about that, not just that Stephen Yeun might be in, he is in the movie. It's just everyone thinks he's going to be the Sentry, and maybe he will be. But Winter Soldier, things don't end well for Winter Soldier, Bucky, in this movie, apparently. So, according to My Time to Shine, hello, he says Bucky needs to die painfully. Oh, now, why would you say that? Well, I don't know. They did. And then another scooper, can we get some toast? I don't know. Can you? Chimed in and said, well, funny you mentioned that, since Bucky does run into the Sentry, the man with the power of 1,000,000 suns in Thunderbolts. What happens when, it says Bob, and of course the Sentry's real name is Robert Reynolds, but I don't know that they're going to call him that if Steve's play what, but maybe, he was adopted, or, yeah. But anyway, what happens when he loses control to the Void? Uh-oh. And so that's the idea, that the Sentry loses control and the Void manifests and kills Bucky, who's really no match for the Sentry at all. He's like a super-duper pooper-scooper Superman, Now, I believe this is where Harrison Ford will be cast as the Red Hulk in that. And there was an interview with David Harbour, who will be playing Red Guardian again, of course, was talking about the movie. It'll be funny. You might want to rein some of that in by now, It's Marvel, they won't. It'll be weird. It'll be action. And then we're going to drop a bomb. The film? No, you mean a plot point that's going to shock everybody, he says, which is cool. So what would it be? It's not that big of a secret that Harrison Ford, who takes on the role of General Ross, formerly played by the late John Hurt, who passed away. So, which is odd. See, you just recast the role. Could have done that with Black Panther, but you didn't. Anyway, and so having a CGI Harrison Ford as the Red Hulk, and you would think that would be the big villain and whatnot, but then perhaps they recruit the Sentry because they need his power to take on the Hulk, and then, oh boy, all hell breaks loose, and the Void becomes the real problem, and that sort of thing. And Bucky gets killed. Yeah, and that's it for Bucky. So no Falcon and the Winter Soldier season 2, I guess. Yeah, unless his ghost shows up or something. Yeah. Hey, now they can finally cast him in that, Jade, a Star Wars story film where you tell the story of Luke Skywalker and Mara Jade getting together with Sebastian Stan, who looks like Mark. Yeah, no, they screwed around, and by the time they finally get to it, he'll be too old to play the younger Luke, you know. It's too late for all of it. But anyway, more than likely, this might be true. That might be what happens for poor Winter Soldier. Certainly, I think the Red Hulk stuff is true, and probably the Sentry too. So Sentry was an interesting story, but eventually it's like with a character that powerful, where else can you go? You know, eventually he died. But it was, kind of an interesting little stunt they pulled way back when they still cared. But it ran its course. Anyway, meanwhile, Hugh Jackman, well, we know he's back as Wolverine for Deadpool 3, but does it stop there? Well, so, who said this? Daniel RPK says, before the strikes, Hugh Jackman had a meeting with Kevin Feige to talk about Wolverine having a big role in Avengers Secret Wars. So, how about that? And again, like I was saying, like the Thunderbolts, maybe there'll be a credit scene concerning Kang and all that. But yes, as of now, all roads do lead to Secret Wars, and especially since they're going to do yet again multiverse shenanigans with Deadpool, and I would have thought it would have been a means by which they introduced the X-Men into the MCU. And maybe to some extent they will, but ultimately probably Secret Wars will do that, and this would be more akin to the Hickman version of Secret Wars, which was interesting. It wasn't as good as the original by Jim Shooter, but it was an interesting story. The only bad part is that it resulted in the the Marvel comics of today, which has just been atrocious. So what are you going to do? Meanwhile, another one who might show up, who already has returned in Spider-Man, is Andrew Garfield. Once again, can we get toast? Says, well, before the strikes, Kevin Feige reached out to Andrew Garfield about having his Spider-Man appear in Secret Wars. So, and that's down the road. Garfield said he wants to take a break from acting or whatever. Well, there's a strike going on. Perfect time to take a vacation, I guess. But, him returning, I thought the cool thing would be with what Sony was doing is just let him be their Spider-Man for all of that. I doubt that would occur. It seems like it's just their Morbius movie was terrible. That Craven movie looks like garbage, and just the plot for it and everything is terrible. It's just like, why even do it? But one of the things about the Morbius thing is that they shoehorned in the Vulture scene, and just, you gotta kill a spider, which makes no sense at all. But if you have it where there's a Spider-Man in that world, what other Spider-Man could it be? It would be this alternate Spider-Man, which has already been established thanks to No Way Home, and he's still able, could do that. But of course, what's Disney going to do? Bitch about it? Well, they don't really have the pull they used to, do they? So anyway, what about people who aren't going to show up at all? Well, apparently, and I missed this totally, there was a Dazzler rumor that Taylor Swift would be cast as Dazzler in Deadpool 3, so you would have all these different versions of characters and all that. And, she's a singer like Dazzler. She has blonde hair like Dazzler. I don't know that she can act worth a damn, but that would be the idea. And if it was just like this sort of like cutesy cameo thing, and she's in there doing her Dazzler stuff, and then, they move on. through the rest of the multiverse shenanigans. It would have been all right, I suppose, as far as anything further than that. Again, don't know that she can act at all. But anyway, apparently not true at all, according to My Time to Shine. Hello. Also, that Taron Egerton, from Kingsman, is not in Deadpool 3 playing another version of Wolverine. See, now this is what I thought Deadpool 3 could have done, where you introduce that, and not just Wolverine, but other X-Men, and that would set the stage for their new version of the X-Men. And maybe that would still occur, that he'd make a good choice to be a new Wolverine. And that's kind of how you just, you just sort of introduce it, and then by the end of Secret Wars, what have you, which I guess revamps the universe and all that, then there he is. Taron is your Wolverine in the new MCU, and that's how they could do it. But apparently not for Deadpool 3. So I suppose there's still time to just do a cameo or something, but I don't know. But anyway, they desperately need something because the MCU is in horrible shape, and if they could have someone like Hugh Jackman to shepherd in their new era as they do a send-off for Secret Wars and all that, I can understand that. The problem is that they didn't seal the deal earlier. So it's all this ramshackle stuff. They say, multiverse and whatnot, which so far, and I think this is absolutely true, the only multiverse film they really did was No Way Home. Doctor Strange teases multiverse, and then you blink, you miss it. What a letdown. The Loki show, and then this second season will do that, but I think the D+ shows are absolute colossal failure. And so, just narratively speaking, it's not that strong. But having him come back, and maybe, Deadpool is their last big chance. But then that could just be the aberration, sort of like No Way Home was. And then you go back to the, to the bottom afterwards. But keeping him around to help all that, I can understand it, and it's not a bad idea. But you can't keep following the same templates you've been doing. And if you have product coming that's going to move away from that, you don't. That would be more to what you need to get there. You can't just have one big splash and that's it. So anyway, I'm dubious on the prospects of success. It's still possible, but yeah, I'm rather pessimistic on it. Plus, this is all rumor. It may be true. It may not be true. It may be somewhere in between, which is more than likely. I mean, some of this stuff is true. I mean, obviously, Hugh Jackman will be in Deadpool 3 and all that. There is the Thunderbolts movie, and so on and so forth. So, in some form or fashion, these possibilities will occur. You just have to stay tuned, provided there is still an MCU by the time these films were to roll out. Yes. All right. We'll talk again soon sometime.